Jack, concomitant with tax reductions usually is more of a push to balancing budgets. Is that sustainable, politically or otherwise, in Canada, do you think?
Again, it is the case that, of course, how much taxation governments are going to need will depend on what their spending is. And of course, if they are more careful with their spending, then they could provide more tax relief for the population. We have to remember that actually the typical amount of revenue that governments needed as a share of GDP back in the 1960s was like 30%. And even when we introduced new programs like Medicare and a number of others at that time, like kind of the pension plan, et cetera, that that ratio did move up, but it's never really gone over 40% in Canada until recently, actually, when it's actually now around 42%. In fact, it even hit 48% at the time of the pandemic, but that was exceptional circumstances. But I do think that we have to ask the question, like, how much government do we need to really deal with what people require, and of course that will determine how much tax revenue is needed. So my view is that taxation has actually gone probably a step too high, and we need to start thinking of paring back some of the things that governments do, because they get involved with an awful lot of things, and some of it is actually quite ineffective what they're doing, and probably those programs could be cut back or eliminated altogether.
Gotcha. What is the best tax reduction policy for Canada then, do you think?
Well, that's actually an interesting debate. I mean, we've seen the Conservative government back in 2006 saying, the GST rate was too high and we should cut the GST rate, which they did do from 7 to 5%. GST is not perfect, but one can also argue that taxing consumption is less harmful to the economy compared to some other taxes. And the ones that have been particularly harmful is a personal income tax. My friend Bev Dalby at the University of Calgary has estimated, that the highest marginal cost of raising $1 of taxes is associated with the personal income tax today, even more than the corporate tax, which is quite interesting. And that's because the marginal tax rates have gone up so high in Canada. And that has a huge impact, not just for high income people and its impact on innovation and investment and et cetera, but it also has very significant impacts even on lower income individuals, because they not only get hit by high personal income taxes or by personal income taxes as well, but they also get slammed by income tested benefits. So if they earn an extra $1 of income, they lose some of the benefits they receive. So if you take like a person who's elderly, they may be paying a personal income tax rate of 25% on an extra $1 of income, but they might lose 50 cents on every $1 of income in terms of their guaranteed income supplement, which is a total tax rate of over 70%. And that is actually even higher than even the richest people pay. So I think we really need to start looking at that balance. And I noticed that Pierre Poilievre, in one of his videos, has made a really big has a big discussion around meters, marginal effective tax rates, which is exactly that point that many economists have talked about for a number of years.
Yeah, I saw that video as well, and it was extraordinary in a couple of ways. Mostly for me, that actually he was able to articulate in layman's terms, a kind of a complex taxation issue. Were you impressed by that as well?
Well, yes, I actually love the video, especially when he started off talking about parking meters. Yeah. And this is a different meter than he's talking about, but with a parking meter, the longer you park, the more money you have to put into it. And what he talked about was the meter on work as being one in which the more work you do, the more taxes you have to pay.